What's up, everybody? In 2023 with Team Sync from RotoBaller. Import your fantasy teams and sync your leagues. Get customized tools and tailored advice for your specific rosters and scoring settings, including live recommendations from the Live Draft Assistant, Free Agent Finder, and Lineup Optimizer. Sync an unlimited amount of NFL, MLB, NBA, and NHL fantasy teams from all of the major fantasy platforms. Get a discount for any premium pass using my promo code Knuckler, KNUCKLERRIP to Tim Wakefield. Just visit rotoballer.com/radio and start rotoballing like a boss. And this podcast is also brought to you by Parlay Play Fantasy Sports. Use my referral code RotoBrady. Get some sweet deposit bonuses. Get in their free contest. You pick a bunch of player props. It's a bunch of fun. Go check it out. They run promotions all the time. And folks, welcome to RotoBaller's official MMA podcast. Tap that. We have a special interlude episode for you this week. With me today, he is a 10-7 professional fighter hailing out of the state of Tennessee. He trains with Knoxville MMA. Dre Miley, One-Eyed Dragon. Dre, thanks so much for being here. How's it going, man?
It's going pretty good. What about yourself?
Oh, going good, man. I'm really excited that we got to do this. And so, like I said when we first, when you hopped on, your nickname is the One-Eyed Dragon. It's a fantastic nickname. If you could, real quick, just explain to the folks listening who might not know why that is your nickname.
All right. Well, contrary to belief, it's not having to do with, a dragon. Everybody keeps thinking it's about me being like a straight dragon. It's not that. It's a nod of honor to a guy, ancient samurai. His name was Date Masamune. And he actually had lost his left eye due to smallpox. And then, back then, if any weakness that you had would be exploited. So he decided at the age of 15 to cut his eye out, like cut it actually out. And what he did is that he went on absolute warpath. Like he was one of the most feared samurais, like and during the Sengoku period. So that's where I got that from. And they called him the Doken Ganryu, and that which means one-eyed dragon. So that's where I got that from. My coach, Eric Turner, was like, you should look up this guy because I think you and him have a lot in common and, stuff like that. And I'm a big history buff, so that's why I was like, oh, I got to check this out. Especially if coach tells you to check it out, you have to check it out. So that's how I got it.
I see you posting a lot of samurai stuff on Twitter all the time. And so I know that you're into that. And so real quick for folks too, who might not know, tell them why, how do I put it? What happened to your eye, at the age of 17? I guess that's the best way to go into that.
Well, see, when I was 17, I was riding around with a friend of mine. Well, he was a friend at the time. We was riding around, was getting ready to go to a basketball game to go coach. So I went to go help him, and it was my cousin and a friend in the back seat. Long story short, he swerved to hit a tree, and instead of worrying about myself, I went and reached back to catch my cousin and my brother's my friend's little brother that was flying towards the windshield. Caught them, and then when I turned my face hit the dashboard, and it cut my eye from back to front. It smashed all of this. It was a lot. It really was. I lost vision of my retina's detached. There's nothing that they can do for it outside of getting an actual eye transplant, which they don't have that yet. So,
and yeah, you have to talk about this on every podcast that I've seen, and I've watched a handful of interviews that you've done on other podcasts and stuff. So to get onto a subject that gets touched on a little bit less, what are when you are getting pro fights, what are the commission logistics and complications that come up as a result of this? We might have lost Dre for a second. Dre, we lost you there for a second.
Oh, my bad. Probably the bad service. What I was saying was, it's just them pretty much saying that it can't be done scientifically. Like, there's no way scientifically you can fight with one eye because you can't see and you can't do X, Y, Z. I was like, well, that's stupid. Like, you let me drive a car that's a 2,000 pound, death machine. You let me walk around, everywhere else. Not saying I'm disabled and stuff like that. I can work factory jobs, but tell me I can't take a punch to the face. I was like, stupid. And I was like, well, you could go blind in the other eye. I could go blind at any point in time in my life, just let me do it. So it's more so the science. It's the dumbest thing ever. Let people who can blatantly lie and say they can see and fight and compete, and people taking steroids and all kinds of crazy stuff. So that's all it is.
And that was my first reaction to, is like, it's not a situation that you hear of every day, but at the same time, it's like, well, you could go blind in the other eye. It's like, well, any fighter going out there ever could go blind in one of their eyes. It really, that seems pretty arbitrary.
Yeah. So it's like, why would you even care? It's like, let me compete. If I want to go blind, let me go. That's, infringing upon my freedom. That's in the Bill of Rights. You can't do that. So I don't know, man. It's weird, and it's a very gray area. And we all knew. My coach told me, he's like, we're going into this. You got to stay with it because it's going to be rocky, and you're not going to have a straight shot for everything. You're going to have to work for everything. And he's not lied. 17 times now I've had to deal with it. My home state was the state that was totally against it, oddly enough. So, like, Georgia was okay with it, South Carolina was okay with it, Virginia was okay with it, but my home state was just like, no. For years they was like, no. And then one day they just like, all right, we'll let you do it, and whatever happens, happens. And here we are.
And it's crazy to think about that too, because, and these aren't the same things at all, but you think of Nick Newell, who had a ton of fights in Bellator and was on the Ultimate Fighter and the Contender Series, and he only has, really half of one arm. And that wrestler that doesn't even have any legs just got his first win. It's not the same thing at all, but I think that it highlights, how crazy it would be that someone would try to prevent you from fighting.
Yeah, and with the whole like Zion thing, man, like I was mad about it because he got licensed as a pro in California. And California was like, I'm not a try for California, but I can only go by what people have told me. Like, yeah, they would make it really hard for you to get it. It's like, you let a guy with no legs, you change the entire rule set for his match. And then Nick Newell, yes, he has fast kicks, but he can intelligently defend himself with that side. It's just one of those things, it pushes me more to be like, oh, I can prove you wrong. I can definitely show you that I can do anything that people with two eyes can do. And hell, sometimes I can even do it better. So.
And you've talked at length about it on other platforms, about the great message that it is and how much of a constant motivator it is for you. And I want to hear more of a take from you on that, but more as it relates to this long professional career that you've racked up. 17 professional fights dating back to August of 2016, 2 amateur fights before that. You've been in the game for a long time at this point.
Yeah, I have. I didn't really compete as much as everybody thinks I have. Like, it's weird to think I've only been pro for going on 7 years now. And I would fight because I'm like very active and I stay at the gym a lot. I'm always at the gym. So it's never one of those things where I'm taking, massive breaks in between fights. It's more so like, all right, fight's done. Okay, let's get back in there. Let's start working again, start training again. Because you never know. You never know what's going to happen. So, it's weird to think of that because I know there's people that's been there twice as long as me and I have the same amount of fights as them. And sometimes even more fights than them. I was like, yeah, it's insane. It just shows how busy I am and how busy my coach wants us to be.
And not to skip ahead to a point that I do want to talk about later, but a dude I've seen you talk about before, and this was actually, I think, leading up to when this fight was supposed to happen, March of 2023. David Lewis, I know that's a fight that you wanted to make happen.
I did. I wanted the fight to happen because at one point, me and David was really good friends. You know, we would cross train here and there, and we were cool. But like for some weird reason, he was just like, "You suck. I did this to you," and blah blah blah. We would cross train, I would take it easy on you. It was like, no, I literally beat the hell out of you to the point where I had to slow down because it was getting bad. I guess he wanted that attention so bad from me and to expose me for some weird reason. And we had prior beef because he dogged out one of my teammates, and I'm not going for that. So you dog out one of my own, and we're boys. I'm coming after your throat. So it's not like that. He shouldn't have went at my teammate like that. So I guess that's where it all stemmed from. And he was like, "We can fight about it." I don't care, bro. I'm not gonna fight you. I can't win. I can't lose. I can't really gain anything by beating you besides, experience. So it's a fight that I'm looking back. I'm like, damn, I should have took that one. But then again, it's like I probably shouldn't have took it. So
And just kind of like you had said in the past, it was, him who had to withdraw from that matchup.
yeah, because he missed weight, like an idiot, and it wouldn't have been an issue unless his like coaches and him. He was there. He saw me. We're walking by each other, and like he misses weight, doesn't tell anybody. So I'm like, well, he missed weight. I want extra money. Like, doing that whole shtick of like, we want money. My coach is like, if he misses weight, we want extra money, or we want a point, or we want something to, compensate for what he did. And they was not budging on it. And it's just like, well, shit, now I don't want to fight you because now you're not even honorable. I'm like, so if you're going to cheat on the scale, I know you're going to cheat in the fight. I know you're going to cheat in the fight. So then I cannot honor you by giving you something that you want.
And
By doing, you know what I'm saying? So,
And isn't it like a weird thing about kind of gym culture? How you have people that kind of rotate in and out from other places. And sometimes it ends up to be like a great benefit for people because you get to train with other people and get exposure to different styles and different body types and all that. But then some people just come in and, it's cool at first. And then it just ends up causing a ton of problems.
yeah. I mean, and it was weird because like when he would come cross train, we would get good work, and he was good. He was, he gave decent looks. Me and my other, teammate, we got some good work on him. He got some good work out of us. It was, I would like to say it was fruitful, but it was more so like, letting us know where we stood at. It's like, okay, we're really that good. I have cross training like out at Fight Ready with those guys, and some of those guys are really good. Like I had the pleasure of sparring against Junior Cortez when I went out there, and I was like, oh, this is fun. Like, oh shit, he's actually really good. I went against Hunter Azure and all those other guys out there. Like, we had fun. That was the one trip of, cross training that was fun. I would like to do it more. So.
And you cut your. I like how you. This is a good segue to like fighting good people and getting in there and mixing it up with people and where you were at, because you cut your teeth at Valor Fighting Challenge, an organization that has produced a ton of prospects. It's a really reputable organization out of Tennessee, and man, 3 of your last 5 losses are to Cody Durden, Jose Johnson, and John Sweeney, who is the LFA champion at the moment. What was the value of, taking, obviously no one likes to lose, but you look back and it's like, damn, like Cody Durden is a really legitimate dude, like up there in the world in the flyweight rankings. What did you take away from losses to such tough competition?
The Cody Durden fight still keeps me up at night. To like go back and watch that fight, it was a lot of back and forth. Like at one point, I almost finished him, and to this day, now he won't say it probably because he's very prideful of himself. But there's people within like his close circles, like you gave Cody his toughest fight outside the UFC. So that is a feather in my cap. But like looking back at that fight and looking at Cody now, like even when I watch his fights, like I still get like that, like shit, I could have killed. Oh, I should have finished you. I could have finished you. And though I made a mental lapse in what happened with us, and that caused me to fight. The Jose Johnson fight, yeah, I'm not convinced that I lost that fight. You don't. I won the first round. He won the second round. But that third round, like all I did was just wrestle him down to the mat. He did not do anything that third round. So I think I got screwed in that one. So that one to me, I was like, oh, I beat Jose Johnson. I beat him. John Sweeney, yeah, me and him both, and it was like he told like in the interview too. He's like, I have to get Dre out in the first minute. Like I have to. If not, this is gonna be a long night for me. He did. He did his part. He's like, if I don't get him out, it's gonna be a long night. So, three of those guys, I'm not hurting about it. Besides the Cody fight, the Jose Johnson fight, it's just water off my back. But the John Sweeney fight, like I tipped my hat. I was like, yeah, you got me on that one. It stung when I lost, but like looking back, I was like, you did exactly what you should have done. Which, in turn, taking all back from all three of them is just constantly just saying F it, going forward and building upon successes and failures.
We're buffering for a second, folks. Oh, there we go. And, I mean, if anything, it has to give you a good amount of confidence, to have given so many tough fighters tough fights. And the John Sweeney fight, I could watch that 20 more times, and probably still 10 out of the 20 times I'd say that was stopped too early. And then the other 10, I'm saying it was probably an appropriate stoppage.
Yeah, I went back and watched it, and I was like, dude, you stopped it too early. And like everybody in the crowd was just like, what the hell? Like, why did he stop? It's like, yeah, you dropped me, but like you didn't give me a chance to like try to fight him. You didn't give me a chance to grab a leg and do that. And I was still coherent, still grabbing for things, and that was one of those high energy fights. And that's what people forget about when it comes to like refs. When the more build up for the fight, the more like tension there is for the fight. The refs feel that too, so they have to give into that. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those weird things. Shit happens.
And do you think, and we don't have to discuss this any further than whatever your answer to this is, but it's like, do you think refs ever treat you different because of your eye?
Oh yeah, refs are looking for a reason to be like, okay, we gotta get him out. They're 100% looking for that. Say he's got one out. We got to be very vigilant about this because I don't want to get sued. I don't want to be the reason why they get to stay sued. I'm not trying to get money from you. It's like, hell, I love fighting. Fighting is what I'm meant to do. Is what I was created to do. To stop that is just pretty much just saying you can't live anymore. So I don't get that.
Well, so you had the Bellator fight set up, and it was going to be against Lucas Brennan, who is it was going to be at featherweight. From what Tapology is saying, he's a featherweight and he's a big featherweight. And the odds for that were going to be, you were going to be the plus 475 underdog. How did you feel before that fight fell through, as going into that matchup in Bellator against a dude who is a seasoned vet in that promotion?
Oh, dude, I didn't care what the odds was. I was excited that I got a shot finally. Like, everybody's got to remember, like, I went from being told no for so long to getting a shot at Bellator against somebody that is, like, really good. That was like a pat on, like, that's like a acknowledgement of like, oh, you're good. This is the guy that you can get. And the styles matched up. It wasn't like, Dre's a striker. Let's put him against a grappler. It was like, no, it's grappler versus grappler. Like, that's even how they build it. And I was just like, finally, I'm getting some recognition. I was excited. Like, I didn't care about the odds. It was like, oh, he's, so at the time, I think he was like 7-0 in Bellator or something like that. And they were like, he's a monster, blah, blah, blah. I was like, shit, I don't care. It's like, this is a fight, period. Like, to go out there in Bellator, win or lose, that's a win in itself. Like, I'll come back. Like, I'll get another fight back. So that was the whole thing.
And if because I've seen you in like a kickboxing match in Tennessee, and I've seen your striking in a lot of different formats, and it seems like when you let the hands go, your flurries are fantastic, and they put people in real damage or in real danger. So if you had to say something about your striking in some of these fights, it's that like maybe some of those flurries should have been like a little more frequent because like they were doing real damage.
It's one of those things that, I'm learning how to do it. It's come a long way since then. So like now I've been working on like finally grooving my striking to complement all of my game. So yeah, we've been working on volume a lot more and stuff like that. So it's coming together. I've realized that my coach has been telling me when you let your hands go, you are scary. When you do this, you're scary. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do it. Okay, I'm gonna do it. So we're working. We're working on it. It's coming. It's coming a long way, but it's definitely coming.
And so looking back through your professional career, man, you fought everywhere from 125 pounds to 150 pounds at a catchweight fight, and you've mostly settled in these more higher stake stretches of your career at bantamweight. And because there's a lot more opportunities at bantamweight, it's probably easier in North America to go from, a regional promotion to a larger promotion at bantamweight. What do you think about what weight you're going to be at moving forward? Is it still bantamweight? Because I look at you and I look at your fights and I think like, yeah, Bellator would be great, but like the opportunities you could have too in like Japan and Ryzen in their flyweight division, I think your skill set would be showcased fantastically there as well.
Well, I mean, we flirted with the idea of going to flyweight. When I fought Jesse Bozzi, that was a catchweight at 130, and my body just wasn't cutting to 25 anymore. I don't look like it, but I actually carry on like a lot of muscle. Like I'm like pure lean muscle. And if I even look at a 45-pound weight, like I jack up, like my weight shoots up like ridiculous. So yeah, I permanently see me being at 135 from the future. Unless something weird happens or Bellator UFC is like, hey, we need you at 45. I don't know why they would, but or they're like, hey, you can cut to 25. We'll do it. It'd be a bitch, but I'll do it. I guess the opportunity at 25 would have to equate to the promotion.
Right. And like it can be easier to stand out at flyweight because there's just less dudes out there fighting at flyweight, and there's organizations that don't even, have that division, despite the massive amount of talent in that weight class, worldwide. So, you had the 2-fight winning streak in 2022. The Brennan fight fell through. The David Lewis fight fell through. What's the deal with Bellator right now? Where do you stand with that? Because I know in the last podcast I saw you and you said that they were going to honor your contract that you signed.
Well, I think they're still waiting on the whole I thing. There's certain states that would be like yes, certain states would be no, but they only go to like certain states, and also they're in the mix of like getting sold. So we'll wait and see. So if Bellator actually gets bought by PFL will honor because I know PFL goes to Georgia. So that'll be one of those things, and we'll go from being a Bellator fighter to being someone for PFL. And I know for a fact PFL will be more accepting of me. So
I mean, they've been an incredibly open-minded organization for one. Two, they get it. They get what the future of this sport is going to look like, and they know how to differentiate themselves from the UFC. Is that something that, further motivates you and excites you, the possibility of being a part of an organization like PFL that, all the best stuff is all ahead of them?
I mean, yes, I honestly just want to not fight on regional shows anymore for my own selfish reasons to be like too shoved in everybody else's face. It's like, oh, well, you have one eye. It's like, yeah, but I have one eye and I made it. I made it to a big league organization while everybody's been, crapping on me and telling me that I'm not good and I'm not this. It's like, I can rub it in people's faces like, see, I made it. I made it. And you guys said I wouldn't. So I guess that's the thing I'm looking forward to. So.
And, to that point about, selfish reasons for wanting to get out of regional promotions is it has these things, people missing weight. The camps are quiet about it. You have to, then you're left with, do I not fight for another, handful of months and try to find another fight that could fall through at one of these regional promotions? Do I disadvantage myself and take a fight at 150 pounds when that wasn't what we agreed to?
Yeah. And that's what happened at the Jacob Thrall fight. I took a fight with him because I was so adamant about like competing. I was like, oh, I just want to compete. I just want to get in there and mix it up. And I shouldn't have done that. I should have been smarter. I've been in this game long enough to, I don't know.
Buffering again, folks. Give us a second. And there's Dre. No, and that was the first thought that I had when I saw the Jacob Thrall fight on your resume. Is like, it seems like that happens to a lot of dudes, is especially when you're waiting for a bigger opportunity and you don't want to wait around. And that makes a lot of sense too, because a lot of people get burned on waiting around. And you want to get back in there and compete, and it's just like not the right time or the right situation.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And I did get impatient and I kicked myself for it because now I have a losing record against somebody that I totally could have beat him. Totally could have beat him. But again, it's one of those learning experiences. So what can you do? What can you say,
And this is a sport where you're allowed to lose, plenty of times. And this is a crazy time in your career, right? Because you're a 10-7 professional. And, it's hard to ignore that this is kind of a critical time, but you string 2 straight wins together, 3 straight wins, you're now 12-7, 13-7. That is a whole different feel and a whole different record. You'd see people on, getting last second shots on UFC prelims and on the Contender Series all the time with those records.
Yep, you do. And it's ridiculous and it's right at the door. So I guess we just picking smart fights and going there and just doing our job. That's all I'm worried about right now is just going there and doing my job. I don't try to focus on Bellator because I know that was a big distraction for me. When Bellator come out with a card, I'm like on their Twitter or Instagram, like, hey, plug me in. I want to get on here, saying all that. But now it's just like, it's not even worth it anymore. It's like, I'm going to make it to where someone has to sign me and someone will honor that contract. So.
And it just always seems like in this sport, the best thing to do is like, as hard as it might be, is just to take it one step at a time and just keep taking care of business the way that it got you to the point that you were to get that opportunity.
That's right. You're right. 100%.
And so, right now, coming off that loss to Jacob Thrall, why are you going to be a different fighter after this fight? What is going to be different about Dre Miley, coming off of this loss?
Just shown that loss was just not me being me. It wasn't him. It sounds cliche as hell, but it was not him beating me. It was me beating myself. I've had crazy things happen to me in a fight before, but it shouldn't have mattered. I've had weird things happen to me before, and I still should have kept going. But it is what it is. So that's what we gotta deal with.
And so if someone has never seen you fight before, what is the fight that you would recommend that they go back and watch to see you at what you feel was your absolute best so far?
Really, that's a lot.
Yeah, that's a
probably that's and it's one that I've not really uploaded. It was me versus Tim Estruth. That's probably the fight where you saw me like almost like as complete as possible. So
he's a solid.
That's what I would say. Yeah, he's a badass. He really is. That dude is he's a killer, man.
And it can just be so hard to measure because, again, so many of your losses come to really good competition. And so, a more improved version of you, a version that just keeps getting better, the sky really is the limit for you still.
Yeah, and I'm still young in the sport too, and I don't have that much mileage on my body. So that's the scary thing for a lot more people out there that thinking, oh, well, this guy's older, but I don't have that much mileage on my body. So It's going to be fun.
There's a big difference between like 32 and has been fighting professional since the age of 16 and 32. And, you know, this is something that came along in a different chapter of your life.
Yeah. I've been training since I was 18, but I didn't start fighting professional until 2016. So it's only 7 years of being pro. And I know people that's been pro for like 10, 13, 14 years. And they're like, you're still hanging with the young guys. Like, yeah, because I still stay after. I still get after it. So
watching you look like a younger fighter. That like you look like 6 years younger than you actually were. Like if I was to watch you fight and didn't know anything else about you, I would think you were like a 26-year-old fighter.
I take care of myself, man. That's what I do. I take care of myself, and I stay young. I stay moving, stay hydrated, and stay stress free.
So it looks like you're in a parking lot right now. So looks like it's time to wrap it up with Dre. I assure you, you've got a lifelong fan in me moving forward. I can't wait to see what's on the horizon for you. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm really glad that we got to do this. And if there is anything else that you want to say, anybody you want to shout out, the floor is yours.
All right. Thank you for having me on, man. It was a good time. Yeah, I'm in the parking lot. I'm about to actually start our team meeting. So I'm one of the wrestling coaches here at the local high school. So we're about to have our team meeting, get to meet the new wrestlers. So that's what I'm doing now. Shout out to all the sponsors that I have: Tennessee Bonding Company, Money Fight, Smith Clothing. There's others here that I'm forgetting. Most importantly, shout out to Knoxville Martial Arts Academy. That's the gym I train at. I've been there since I was 18 years old. I've raised all my boys there. I coach there. I do a lot of things there. My coaches, Eric Turner, Jason King, teammates, James Adcock, Dan Bailey, list goes on. So if you see anybody from KMA that fights, more than likely we've all trained to each other. We all hit each other and beat each other up. So thank you guys. And that's it.
Folks, watch out for what's in the future. He's a 10-7 professional, the one-eyed dragon. He's got the most gorgeous guillotine out there in the bantamweight division right now. Dre, the one-eyed dragon, Miley, thanks so much for being here, Dre. Have a good one, man. I hope we can do this again sometime.
Absolutely, man. Be talking to you soon.
Folks, this has been another interlude episode of RotoBallers official MMA podcast. Tab that. Like I said, follow me on Twitter at RotoBrady. That's where I make picks for all sorts of MMA promotions and major boxing events. Follow the podcast at Tab That MMA Podcast. That's the YouTube channel, the Facebook page, and on Spotify. UFC Vegas 80 this past weekend, because this is going to be coming out on Monday. Thanks for listening, folks. Have a good night and peace.